guys? Welcome back to another Oktoberfest beer review for 2021. This, I believe, is beer number 8 for this season. And it's another local craft beer. I don't know what the distribution is. It's probably very limited because I've never heard of them before. But this is a Fest beer, German-style lager, out of Haymarket Beer Company. And it is made in Bridgman, Michigan. I believe that's pretty close to the Grand Rapids area. And let's see, the specs, it just says 5.7% ABV, and that's it. So, I don't know, it's got this nice, almost snowy, very light blue and white logo design, but here you go, in case you see it. The H kind of reminds me of one of those, like, Brazilian dancers you'd see with, like, the tassels on the boobs. That's kind of what that reminds me of, but, you know, my head's in the gutter. But, no. What are you gonna do? Alright, let's pour this. For some reason, I was almost expecting it to be much lighter. I think just because of the can. The can is so light in color. Alright. So yeah, a little darker than I was thinking. But, alright. Let's get into the review, get into the smell. It had almost a, like if you had a fire and you let it burn out overnight and then it snowed and you woke up and you had almost that kind of burnt umber aroma with fresh snow on the top of it. It's got that kind of, you know, kind of a clean liquid aroma, you know, that really fresh, clean water kind of the smell, and then you have that kind of burntiness to it. It's, you know, it's kind of nice. And there's a bit of almost nectarine fruitiness to it. It's not overpowering, but you do have some of that kind of element that I'm picking up. A hint of kind of a barley wine aspect. The aroma isn't overpowering. You can tell it's more of that kind of fest beer versus the Märzen, which is a little more pronounced, generally speaking. But, so it's not heavy, but for what I am picking up, I am very much enjoying it, so I'm going to recommend it on Aroma. We'll see, we'll see what the taste is, so let's do the taste. Tastes more like a Märzen than a Fest. It's got more of that. I mean, I don't know what the exact dividing line is between the two, but you do pick up more of that, like cinnamon toasted maltiness to it. It's, I mean, again, it's not super heavy. That kind of burnt aspect only hits the tip of my tongue. It didn't kind of like some of the other ones. So it's not as defined, it's not as in your face, but it's there. Becomes a little more pronounced with the second sip. It still has kind of that clean, fresh water finish. And I don't mean that it's watered down, but it definitely has that kind of clean. There's something very clean about it, which I like. Getting more, yeah, much more of the malt that I'm picking up now versus when I was smelling it. Yeah, it is kind of I'm sticking by it. There is still a dab hint of a nectarine in there. Very subtle, but it's that, and it mixes with that charred charcoal kind of taste. You know, like maybe you got a little too much charcoal and whatever on the grill, and you picked up a little more of that taste in the burger than you wanted, or maybe the flame was just too, and you got a little charred on the bottom. I'm getting some of that charred, charcoal-y kind of taste to it. It's not too intense. If it was more, I think that'd be more of a detriment. But where it's at, I think it makes it like a nice Oktoberfest beer. And that little hint of nectarine is just, I like it. It helps blend some of the other stuff together. Like it brings that maltiness a little back to earth. They could almost push that nectarine kind of sweetness, and I would really dig it. Nectarine is not something that you get a lot of in beers. I could go for some more nectarine. I feel like that's the underrated cousin of a peach. Like, nectarine gets no love, man. Now, there is almost a bit of like an ethanol-y kind of taste to it. I am picking that up a little bit, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like that. It's not super pronounced, but like I thought I was maybe tasting it when I was first getting into it. But again, the more I'm drinking it, the more I'm picking that up, you know. And that aspect of the beer I could do without. But I can even kind of taste it a little bit when I'm breathing in. But other than that, there's not like a whole lot of other things going on with it. You know, you got the charred charcoal, you have a hint of nectarine, and you got some ethanol. You know, it's a drinkable beer. It's not like the greatest thing in the world, but I don't know. Now that I'm like focusing on the ethanol, it's like, oh, that's the only taste I'm really picking up. Or I'm picking up more of it. So I'm gonna give it a half on taste. It's okay. It's not the worst like small time craft local beer that maybe they don't have all the kinks worked out. They're just starting up. They don't have like the decades of experience. So I mean, I'll give it. This is one of the first Oktoberfest beers that I've come across. So good on them for at least getting it out there. But yeah, I'm going to give it a half on taste. Next category is value for price, and here we go. Boom, $1.99. Can't really beat that. That is a solid price, so I'm going to recommend that value for price. Next category is distinction. How distinct is it? And to be perfectly honest, I feel like this beer is a little confused. It has more of a Märzen style kind of profile, but it is marketed as a fest beer. So I don't know if they just want, Oktoberfests. But let's chop the okay October aspect out and let's just call it a fest beer. They just call it a German style lager, so maybe it's kind of a mashup of the two. I think that's probably more of what this is. It's not necessarily a specific fest beer or a specific Oktoberfest. I think it's kind of like we're going to kind of tweak the two and put them together in like this Frankenstein-y kind of thing. And distinct. I mean, it's kind of a mashup makes it distinct a little bit, and it's got that hint of nectarine or whatever that I wish more. Now I'm just thinking of it now. I wish more breweries used it. I think that's a nice, not as sweet as other fruits, and it could, blend well with a lager kind of thing if you use it right. Honestly. I am going to recommend it on distinction. It's like a mashup nectarine thing. Nectarine is not pronounced. I'm just kind of fixating on that now. So I'm going to recommend it on distinction for it being like a mashup, essentially. Who doesn't like a good mashup? Some of those mashup musics are really sweet. But I ran across it was like a Coldplay Lady Gaga thing years ago. Whoever cut this thing together, genius. Good, like, awesome job. But this is not a Lady Gaga Coldplay mashup beer. This is I don't know, Google Dolls into Hootie and the Blowfish beer. But so yeah, I'll recommend it on distinction. Next category is drinkability, and I'm getting hung up on that ethanol kind of taste to it. It's in there, and really, that's one of those things that once you get your taste bugs like get a hold of it, it's really hard to not taste it. That almost becomes the pronounced thing that you focus on, because you're like, what is that thing that it's like, oh yeah. It's like if you smell something and there's a whole bunch of other smells, but then your brain like places it. It's like, this is the only thing I can really smell now, and I don't want to be smelling that. That's kind of what I got going on with this. So I'm not going to recommend it on drinkability. I'm just too focused on that now. Last category is what I bought again, and honestly, probably not. Again, we don't have a lot of time with Oktoberfest beers. There's other beers I'd rather get. It's not a bad thing, if you happen across it in Bridgman, Michigan, or wherever this is distributed. There's also a Haymarket Pub and Brewery on Randolph Street in Chicago, so maybe I'm assuming that they have it in Chicago as well. So if you stumble across it, sure, give it a whirl. But for me, I have really no other need to, it's not my list of things to get again. So, anyways, that is my review of Haymarket Beer Company's Fest beer. Have you had it before? Have you had any Haymarket beers before? Let me know in the comments. This giant-ass sticker is probably covering up important info. But, yeah, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And so, for now, for myself and for Haymarket Beer Company, take it easy.